Tonight we're going to do something a little different. We're going to use Dutch oven. We're going to do everything in the house. Some of you people may not be able to have a grill or live in a place that you can't really do it outside. And I've got a video up that shows how to do it on the grill using coals. But we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to do it in the house on the stove. I'll be right back and show you how to get this started. I think you'll like it. So here's what we're going to do. I got some butter starting to melt in this pan, and I bought some baby bell mushroom slices. I'm going to let those saute down in that butter for a little bit. Now we rinse these because there's always dirt on mushrooms. They grow in dirt. Actually growing worse than dirt, but so we're going to let those go for just a little bit. Now over here I've got 3 celery stalks. We're probably going to use half each of these bell peppers. Got a medium-sized onion, and I got 3 cloves of garlic. This is a pot of carrots that I pre-boiled because it takes carrots forever to get to soften. I always like to give my carrots a head start. So I'm going to get to chopping on some of this stuff and get it over there in that pan with those mushrooms. All this stuff's going into our stew in our Dutch oven. And this was 3 stalks. I cut the ends off, washed them good. Something else you gotta make sure you rinse good is your celery. Or actually all your vegetables, the way they're handled anymore. Go ahead and put our celery in there. Now you can chop this stuff as coarse or as fine as you like. It's all up to you. And what you like. What you prefer. In there. Oh, we got one I missed. How did I miss that one? It was hiding in the pile. Right. Throw that in there. Do the same thing with our green bell pepper. Cut up this onion. Alright, I'm going to put a lid on that. We're going to let that sit there and simmer and saute for just a little bit. And when we get ready, we got to brown our burger, and then we'll be back. Show you how this is going to go together. Okay, we got everything going here in the pan. I'm just about ready. We're going to put this garlic in, and I'm sure you all know how to do garlic. You just push down on it, pick the bad stuff out, pretty much like that. Get all your skin off of it. I'm going to start out with 3 cloves, and I'm sure it's going to take a lot more when we get done. Just kind of want to keep your, pick the skin out of the pile when you crush them. A little bit of a slice. There's some skin. Get that out of there. Everybody's going to be happy if they bite into a piece of skin off the garlic, so make sure that you get it out of there. I wish you could smell that garlic. That garlic smells good. So, here's our veggies. Simmering in the pan. Probably going to let these simmer until the mushrooms start to shrink up a little bit and the onions start to get a little bit opaque where you can see through them. So that's going to take just a little bit. Okay, we'll come right back and get started on the meat. Okay, here we go. This stuff's been simmering about 15 or 20 minutes. And what we're going to do now, the veggies are just about ready. Get this out of the way here. Stick it over in the sink. Okay. Now we're going to take all our veggies and we're going to put over here in the pot. Just dump them right in there. And the reason we're doing that, because we got to have a place to brown our hamburger. Now that's about, I think it was 2.3 pounds. So, and what I've got here, or find something, get this started. Now I've got, right here I've got half a medium-sized red onion. We're going to go ahead and put that in there. And this is 3 more cloves of garlic. I'm going to throw that in there. And this is a little bit of Montreal steak seasoning. And a little bit of black pepper. Actually, it's going to take probably quite a bit of black pepper because that's a lot of meat. And this is a little bit of onion powder. We're going to brown this up. Turn it up just a little. Another reason I wanted to do this over here in this pan was because I got to be able to drain the grease out of it fairly simply, or fairly easily, and it'd be pretty hard if I browned it over there in that. So anyway, we got our meat going here. Just a little bit more. This really is a lot of ground beef. A lot of ground beef. Like I said, you can do this outside on a grill. But you can do it in here too. And we'll even put the biscuits on the bottom, or on the top, I'm sorry. And once we do that, you'll see how we finish that off. We're going to do it in the oven. These are some home canned green beans. I'll have to go ahead and throw these in here. Come out. There they came. All you can do is whatever you want in here. You can just do, we have some potatoes over there too we're going to cut up in probably pretty big chunks and put in here once the beef's done. And then it'll just be water and some beef base, beef bouillon. And we'll let that all simmer for a little while, let the flavors all get going good together. So we're just going to sit here, we're going to brown this, and when it gets browned, we'll come back. Alright, the meat's almost done. Take a look. This is what we got going. As you can see, there's a lot of liquid in here. There's grease in here. Of course, there's always water in here from the ice that they use when they grind this stuff to keep it from cooking as it goes through the grinder, because they're grinding large quantities of beef, and the blades get hot, and it would actually start to cook the hamburger if they didn't put ice in with it, which is why you get so much water when you brown your beef. So we're going to let this keep on going. We're just checking in. Be back in a minute when this is done.
All right.
Get on?
Yep.
I have something for you. Follow me. Okay, this is our pot of vegetables. Of course, you saw all that earlier. So we want to kind of drain as much of the liquid as we can out of this stuff. I'm just going to dump it over in there.
I'm going to come over here.
This was 2 1/3 pounds of ground beef, and we put half of a medium-sized red onion, 3 cloves of garlic. Then I seasoned it with some steak seasoning, some black pepper, some onion powder, and it still acted like it needed a little something, so I used a little bit of seasoning salt and some of the chachari in it. I mean, very little. This seems to it tastes pretty good right now. Now, a lot of times when I make this, I'll just make a skillet, and I always called it homemade hamburger helper, and it was just hamburger and potatoes. Which we got some potatoes over there, if you remember right. We're going to cut those into fairly large chunks and throw in this pot too. So, all right, you've seen me do the burger. So we're going to cut up these potatoes and throw them in here, and then we'll come back and put the water in it and get this on the stove and start it to simmer. So we'll be back in just a few minutes. Okay, we got everything. I got the beef. All the vegetables are in the pot. Our last step here is to put our potatoes in. And you can slice these. You can do whatever you want. I like them in bigger chunks. And a couple pretty big potatoes coming up. What the hell happened to that potato? Put that off to the side for right now. Cut that one out, the center out of it. As you can see, I got fairly big sized chunks of potato. So let's go ahead and throw these in the pot. And like I said, you can cut those down to whatever size you want, but well, I just don't like the look of the inside of this potato right there. looks like. Put that one out of the way. What this one looks like. You can see, I don't know if you can see that on the camera or not, but that just doesn't look good. So we're just going to get rid of it. And then that's how it goes. Potatoes are always like a mystery. They can look good on the outside, and when you open them up, they could just be gross. So, all right, we got that. We'll go to the next step because remember, it's not real Dutch oven cooking if you don't have some biscuits on the top. So we're going to make us up some homemade biscuits. But for right now, it's going to sit on top of the stove and it's going to simmer. I am going to put some bouillon in there. But normally you do this, and you can watch my other video. I've done this outside on the grill. It's really kind of the same technique. You have your coals underneath it, and after you put your biscuit dough on the top, you just shovel some coals on top of the lid, and that'll cook your biscuits from the top down. We're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do it in the oven with the oven on broil. So we'll come back in a little bit, and we'll look at this again here in about a half hour or so. All right, now I just put the beef base and the beef au jus in there, and Miners makes this product, and you have to order it online, but here's what it looks like. And if you start using this stuff right here, you probably won't be buying bouillon cubes or anything anymore because there's really good flavor in this stuff, and you really need to try it out. So look it up, try it out, and you know what I'm talking about when I say beef base and beef au jus. See you in a minute. Okay, I'm going to show you how to make some homemade biscuits, and I've done this a couple times in a couple other videos, and what we're going to do here, I'm going to do this as a separate video, so any other time that I want to make biscuits, I'm just going to put a link in the description, and you'll be able to go back and you can be able to see how I do this. Okay, so here's what we've got. On a normal batch of biscuits, it's 2 cups of flour, 1/4 cup of shortening, and 3/4 cup of milk. So this is a batch and a half because I need the extra to be able to cover the top of our Dutch oven here. So this is 3 cups of flour. So this is 1/4 cup of shortening. And this is regular shortening. Don't get the whipped shortening. You won't be happy with the outcome. As a matter of fact, I think I got some in the cabinet that needs thrown away. It's been here forever. It just is not the same. So, that's our first 1/4 cup of shortening. I don't have an 1/8 cup measurement, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to fill my 1/4 up again, and I'm going to take half of it. And make sure when you do that, you press it down in there so you get all your air pockets filled in. And we're just going to take half of this one. The other half I'm going to put back into the container. Get it out of there. All right, that's close enough. Now the trick when you do this is you want to cut your shortening into this flour first. And so you just want to break the shortening up, get it mixed into the flour. Pretty simple. It's very simple, very easy. Try to get all the big hunks of shortening broke up, mixed into the flour. Okay, then we're going to start with our milk. Okay, so it was for a normal batch. Remember, it was 2 cups of the self-rising flour, and then a 1/4 cup of shortening, and 3/4 cup of milk. But since we're doing a batch and a half, we have 3/4 cup of milk, and then take half of that, and that's 3/8. So what we've got here is 1 1/8 cups of milk. So we're just gonna start pouring this in, and you want to stir from the outside into the middle. And be gentle with it. And if you stir it too hard, you're going to have tough biscuits. And biscuits are something that it takes a few times of making them. I think when I made my first biscuits, they came out like rocks the first couple times. So they're just growing pains. You're figuring out how to do it. Just keep at it, and you'll get it figured out. Take the rest of our milk. And it isn't looking too bad. So here's what we're going to do here at the end here. Now, I'm not saying you're not going to have to add a little bit more milk, a little bit more flour. Just kind of go by feel. But you want to start pressing this together. If you had to have, or if you have to add any extra milk, which I may have to add a little bit extra milk, you're going to go very small amounts, so you're going to be chasing it back and forth between adding flour and adding milk. So, kind of want to give it some time and let the ingredients all absorb together. Looking too bad. I'll get just a little bit more milk. Hold on just a second. I should have left it out. That one had to leave. When I say just a little bit more milk, I mean just a little bit more milk. You'll be surprised what that little bit more milk will do. I think it's coming together pretty nice. And this is going to be our topping. We're going to put this over here on top of in the Dutch oven. Then we're going to stick it in the oven. We'll put it on broil, and that's going to finish off our biscuits. And here in just a second, I'll show you how that's looking here in just a minute. And if you noticed, I didn't put more than probably another tablespoon of milk in this, and it was looking like it was way too dry. But if you, I don't know if you can see, it's pretty well. It's coming together really nice. losing stuff out the sides. Alright. There's our biscuits. I don't know if you can see it or not. There's our biscuits. And they came together pretty good. I guess I could have turned that light on over there so you guys could see better. I could go and do that. I can go turn the light on.
No, it's good. I can see it.
Alright. So anyway, that's our biscuit dough. Like I said, I'm going to include this in this video, but I'm also going to put up a separate video. So anytime I ever say homemade biscuits, I'll just put a link in the description and you guys can go and watch this and see how it's done. But so for a normal batch, that's 2 cups of self-rising flour, a 1/4 cup of shortening, and 3/4 cup of milk. But in order to get a full covering over top of our Dutch oven, we have to do 1 1/2. So you got to do a little math there. It's not that hard. You'll figure it out. Especially since I just told you how to do it, and all you got to do is watch the video. So there you are. We'll come back in a minute. Okay, this has been simmering for probably 2 1/2 hours. Let's take a look at it. I just pulled it off the heat. And the potatoes are soft. And that's kind of what we were going by there at that point, was because everything else was, you know, pre-cooked, pre-boiled just a little bit, give it a head start. Sauteed a lot of the vegetables in some butter. So anyway, you already watched all that. So now here's what we're going to do. You want to start taking pieces of your biscuit dough. That right there. That right there. See that? See that? See that? Can you see? Okay. I'm going to start laying those in there. You can make them as big around as you want, but you kind of want to you want to make them, I don't know, 1/2 inch, but kind of want to lay them in there. I think the best part about this is when you do this way is the bottom part of this biscuit is going to be like a dumpling. And then the top part's like a biscuit. It's awesome. And they're really good. Okay, here's our last one. Remember that was a batch and a half of biscuits. So we're going to put our lid back on here and seal it up. We're going to turn our oven on. Broil. But we're going to put it on low broil. Now this is kind of the same thing as being, we got to this point when we did that on the grill, I put coals on the top. So that's why we're going to put the oven on broil, because that's going to be like our coals being on top of here to cook the biscuits. So we're going to go ahead and set this in the oven. Now I took oh my gosh, that must weigh 30 pounds. That's got a lot of food. What we got here is we're putting heat on the lid because we want to cook these biscuits from the top down. Everything else under it's done, and that's kind of like when you do your if you do this with charcoal like in the other video, that's why we put the coals on the lid. I think I just said all that. So now you've heard it twice, so you better remember it. Alright, here's what we came out. Pretty good for cooking in the house. It looks just as good as you do it outside. So I'm going to make a plate, come back, take a bite, and we'll see how it does. Let's take a bite of this. That biscuit's looks good. Let's take a bite. It's way hot, so be careful. Way hot. And way good. People, that is good. Until next time, eat it. Don't say you can't use a Dutch oven in the house. I just proved it. See you next time.